And I am here at the Prisco Community Center in Aurora, Illinois to come see some short films. One of them being one of my friends, Logan Sekulo's film, Welcome Home, Dick Van Dyke. But I'm also going to check out a few of the other ones. I got here early. It's around 11:30 right now, and his movie starts at 2:30, so we'll see what we can see. I just watched the short film Pam that was about inhaling Pam spray, which I didn't ever know was a thing, but I guess people could think of anything, and it is very important to realize that it's very dangerous to inhale any kind of substance, and so don't do that. The second movie I saw was called Blame, and it was a full-length feature. I'm really glad I didn't bring my daughter because this was quite an R-rated movie. But it was about a bodybuilder in Chicago, and he had a relationship that wasn't really perfect. I think they were trying to say that the woman in the relationship was being a little abusive towards him. It also seemed to say to make the choices that are right for you, and if someone is holding you back or really being abusive towards you, try to make sure that the people are getting the help that they need so you can have a healthier relationship. For the rest of my day, it's still short films. I've got 2 more before the Welcome Home, Dick Van Dyke. So the one that I just watched was a movie called Teacher, which kind of flipped some things around of what your expectations would be when the teacher had experienced some bullying when he was a kid, and when he was witnessing bullying happening in his classroom, it wasn't exactly what he expected it to be. And so it's an interesting little story, and then he is expanding into a feature, and what follows right here is when he did a small Q&A right after the feature.
We kind of inherit our childhood as adults in a kind of a weird way. And it's about the decisions kind of we make in lieu of that, and the way we perceive others around us in lieu of our experiences, and the terrible kind of mistakes that people can make if they don't, get help or assistance, or at least really look at how their experiences kind of affects the way they might behave toward others in the future. And it's kind of a cautionary tale about that.
Did the feature-length, vision of it, does it end the same way, or does it continue?
Very different ending. The setup is pretty much the same for the feature, but pretty much things diverge pretty heavily about midway through. A lot of different characters, a lot more plot points and angles, and definitely different resolutions to the feature. But I found that when you shrink that down into a short film, the story has to change, because you can't cram a feature's worth of story into 20 minutes. So rather than try to force that, I tried to come up with a version of this that would fit that format.
I just watched Fine, that was the funniest short film that I've seen today. It was a little thing about being in college and all the difficulties that go along with that. I followed a young woman that was going through her day. So the movie Welcome Home, Dick Van Dyke was a very entertaining documentation of the time that Dick Van Dyke went back to his hometown of Danville, Illinois. I've actually never been to Danville, Illinois, even though I live here in Illinois, but I'm sure I'll put that on my list of things to do. It's just like trying to see Walt Disney's childhood home at some point down the road. But in the movie, they found out that his childhood home was actually going to be demolished, so they went ahead and purchased the property to restore it to its original condition. but while they were touring it, I couldn't help getting the feeling like he was in the Blair Witch Project. And so that was really fun to imagine Dick Van Dyke in that kind of situation. Any other time in the movie though, man, he is just smiling, having fun, singing. You know, his smile is infectious. So, you know, it's very easy to be able to sit and smile at this movie. I can't wait till more people can see the movie. And so Logan, you did a great job with this one. The final movie I watched was this little short film called The Lady with the Dog, about this man who is taking care of his terminally ill wife and meets a lady that has a dog and wants to give him this dog. And then what ensues is a little surprising. Wasn't necessarily the best movie of this film festival, and it was definitely a different tone of all the other movies that I saw today. Illinois International Film Festival, one of Rick's picks.